One of the things that we see our friends on the left doing is destroying the parables and the fairy tales that we were raised with that were frankly based on all sorts of interesting, spontaneous order ideas about how we should act in this country. Sour grapes and the fox, the grasshopper and the ant. We now have the rainbow fish to replace them. So why don't we write some just off-the-cuff ideas about how we'd like to talk to the young people in our lives about liberty. This is a story of the house. Now, everyone who had a desire for power wanted to live in the house. The house seemed to emanate something really special but terrifying. For those who moved out of the house no longer had power and had a fear of the new person in the house. Now, why would they have a fear of the new person? Because the person who lived in the house knew what was in the house. There, hidden in a back room, was a sword encased in a stone. And once you moved into the house, you could remove the sword and use it at will. Massive power. The only way you could move into the house is to convince everyone that you were the person who should live there, and only you could be trusted with the sword. So they move in, and the sword takes them over. And they wield the sword against their enemies, and sometimes their friends. They always made a solemn oath to swear that they would not use the sword for evil means. But the power of the sword was incredible. The most powerful tool in the world. And when they left the house, they left with the fear that the new occupant would use the sword the same way they used it. So what is the sword? How is it used against the very people that put the occupant in the house? And why is the old occupant so fearful that the sword will be used against them? Because the occupants of the house have been boiled down to the idea that politics is retribution. And the only effective way to get retribution, to atone for the evils that are done to you and to the ones you love and to your party and to the future of this country, is to wield the sword once it's in your hands and to hack away and destroy all your potential future enemies, even if it involves hacking away at the people who put you in the house. And the sword can't be removed from the house. It's left behind when you leave. So in fear of how you acted, the sword will be used by the next person who promises not to use the sword for anything but good. Shouldn't we take the sword and throw it in the sea? We can, but nobody believes it. And when it comes time to suggest that you're going to throw the sword in the sea, the new occupant and the old occupant rise up to defend the sword because they believe that they'll, or their children or progeny, will move into the house one day and have the sword. The sword is the IRS. It's time to throw the sword in the sea. It's the only weapon the owner of the house can use against you.
Listen to the old man. Listen to the old man. Listen to the old man. When you can.